Hi, this is Will Miles with Read and Reaction. We're going to do something a little bit different this week because, well, we're playing Vanderbilt. So try a little bit of video here. Hopefully you guys like it. Let me know. Certainly subscribe to the YouTube channel if you enjoy this type of content. So Florida's playing Vanderbilt this weekend. One of my first thoughts was, do we even need to talk about this one? The reason is that Vanderbilt just really isn't very good. Not only are they 0-6, but based on yards per play, Vandy has the 109th ranked offense and the 120th ranked defense in the country. They can't run the ball. They're 106th in yards per rush. They can't throw the ball. They're 89th in yards per attempt. They can't stop the run. They're 122nd in yards per rush allowed. And they can't stop the pass. They're 92nd in yards per attempt allowed. Really, the only thing you can maybe say that Vanderbilt has going for them is Ken Seals at quarterback has gotten much, much better over the last 3 games. So he started out really rough against Texas A&M, LSU, and South Carolina, averaging less than 6.2 yards per attempt in each of those 3 games. But against Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Kentucky, he's been much better. Now, that doesn't mean he's been great. He's been about average, maybe a little bit below average in those 3 games. Part of that is because he's really sort of hitting in those 3 games at an average clip in terms of yards per attempt, but he's also getting sacked an awful lot. So, and 4 or 5 times a game, he's running the ball, and in almost every game, he's got negative yardage running. So he's taking sacks. He's not very mobile, and he's not necessarily able to push the ball down the field. That's a really bad sign for Vanderbilt. Now, he does have a pretty high completion percentage, up over 65%. And what that's leading to is Vanderbilt does have a pretty good third down conversion percentage. So that's really maybe the one area where you'd say, okay, Florida has struggled, especially early on this year, getting off the field on third down. If Vanderbilt can do that, maybe they shorten the game, and then Florida's offense can't necessarily take advantage. I do think that that probably comes into play somewhat when you start looking at the actual line. So I think Florida wins this game easily. Kyle Trask is a much, much, much better quarterback than Ken Seals. And for 99% of the time, the team with the better quarterback wins, especially if it's as significant a gap as there is here. So then the question is, can Florida cover? And the last line I saw had Florida at 35.5 points in terms of being a favorite. And that's a lot of points. I mean, you figure a game like last week where you're sitting there against Arkansas, 63-28, Arkansas puts a touchdown on at the end. The defense really didn't care that they gave up that touchdown. And all of a sudden the game is much, much closer than what a line like that would have you believe. And I think that might be something that happens this week, is that late in the game, Florida gives up a touchdown to make it a little bit closer. I still think the offense is going to be really, really prolific. I don't think Vanderbilt's going to be able to stop them. If they score 56 or 63 points again, then obviously the 35-point spread won't really be that significant for them to be able to get to. But I think they're probably going to take their foot off their gas, really, when you think about it, in the third and the fourth quarter, not because they don't have the killer instinct, but just because you kind of want to be humane to Vanderbilt. And there's no real reason to have your starters out there and risking them getting injured. So I'm going to take Florida winning this one, 49-21. They're going to be real close to that 35-point mark, but I think Vandy maybe gets a touchdown at the end or a field goal at the end to bring it within that range. But that's what I'm predicting. Florida wins big, just not quite as big as the Vegas insiders think. So the other thing I'd like to do on this video is I'd like to look at some of the things that happened last week against Arkansas on the defensive side of the ball. There's been an awful lot of focus on Kyle Trask and how well he's playing, and deservedly so. The defense has gotten a lot better over the last few weeks, but there's still some things to work on. So we're going to look at a couple of clips and point out where Florida can improve and what we should want to see against Vanderbilt. I'm highlighting Elam because, look, he's 7 or 8 yards out from the wide receiver, but he doesn't move until he gets right up on him. This is a mental mistake because if you're playing that far back, you can't get beat deep. This play's more excusable. Chester Kimbrough's up on the wide receiver in man-to-man coverage. He's running with him step for step, gets sort of tangled up, and falls down. The only thing you might complain about is he looks back at the referee instead of getting up to help. I doubt he gets to the wide receiver, but you at least want to see him try. This is another mental mistake. You can see Marlon Dunlap crash inside, and Campbell crashes inside as well, both on the center. That leaves the offensive lineman and the tight end there to get the linebackers, and then Sean Davis takes a bad angle, which allows the touchdown run. Again, the mental mistake here, I think, is on the defensive linemen not staying in their gaps and running the right assignments. The last thing I want to see is tackling. In this case, Marco Wilson has a clear shot at the wide receiver and just misses him. And in what could have been a 4-yard gain turns into 12. And we know he has it in him because he does it right here. This should be a first down, easily. Wilson sheds the block, comes in, and prevents the tight end from getting there. So those are the things on defense I'm looking for this weekend. No more mental mistakes. The physical mistakes are okay. Make sure the defensive line knows their assignments. The linebackers are staying in their gaps, good angles by the safeties. Make sure they're tackling on the outside when they have an opportunity. Limit those gains to 4 or 5 yards instead of 11 or 12. They've shown they can do it in spurts. The question is, when they're playing a physically inferior opponent, can they do it for an entire game? If they do, they're going to win this game easily, maybe even more than the spread. But again, I'm picking Gators 49-21. Go Gators. Thanks to Coach Paint for the cool effects used on these videos. If you like these videos, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Or you can follow me at WillMilesSEC on Twitter or at Facebook.com/readandreaction. Until next time, be a smarter fan.